So I believe that it is 6:43 p.m. on Tuesday, the 28th. We'll call the meeting to order.
So just so that everyone knows, this meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded digitally to the cloud. And I just have to give the virtual meeting statement, which states, pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Hubbardston Board of Health will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right or requirement to attend this meeting can be found at www.hubbardstonma.us. No in-person attendance of this meeting of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website an audio or video recording. In this case, it would be video recorder via Zoom or other comprehensive record of proceeding as soon as possible. Right, it's all yours, Kathy.
Okay, so right now I have the minutes from the previous meeting pulled up, and have the two of you read those?
Yes, I read them this afternoon.
Yep, and I don't see any errors in them. Do you, Vin?
Oh, that looked fine, thank you.
All right, so then somebody please make a motion to adopt the minutes as written,
I'll make a
moved.
motion.
and then seconded by the other person, however you want to record that. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. And, okay, now I'm gonna go back and find the agenda. Under, where is it online? Oh, there we go. Okay. Under COVID-19 update, that's the next thing on the list. You have anything to report on that? Okay, I haven't seen any new cases in Hubbardston.
So right now our active case load is at 0.
Yeah.
Yep, and I'm sure everyone heard that Governor Baker has postponed or pushed out his stay-at-home order till May 18th as of this afternoon. So he pushed it out 2 weeks.
Oh, 18th. Okay, I missed that.
Yeah. He's also shut down all schools for the remainder of the year. So
That I had heard, but
yeah.
okay. And then we're going to move on to failed systems awaiting action. We have 10 Main Street. Any updates from the owners for the application for the loan?
Not yet. Nope. Still waiting for their 3.
All right, 30 Main Street.
I emailed them the copy of their installer's license, a blank copy for the installation, and they were in contact to get a copy of the approved plan for Matt Hopkinson. So they should be getting their information in shortly.
Okay, I'll be watching for that so that I can do the all the inspections. Okay, under past Title V's, anything new there?
Nope, I haven't gotten anything new.
Okay. There should be one coming.
Cool.
And I'll tell you why. I went to do, I'm sort of jumping ahead. 52 Birches is down under open repairs.
Yes.
And I went over this afternoon at 3 o'clock, took photos of the new tank that was being installed, because that was what had fallen apart, literally. 52 Birches, according to Chris Lemick, is a house that was owned by the bank, and there's a business/company redoing the house, They were cleaning out on redoing stuff when I was there. There's 5 workers. And he thought there was going to be a closing later this week, possibly Thursday, where this business that's doing it is going to then flip it. So I reminded him that if it goes to be sold, that a Title V must be done.
Interesting. I don't have any building permits from that address either, so I'll have to reach out.
So yes, I don't know the name of the company or the bank that has ownership of it right now.
I can get that from the registry, so.
Okay, so that's one that's potentially coming out there.
Okay.
All right, so then under the permits, we have the Chris Lemick installer permit for an emergency repair. And tank's beautiful. It's a good, nice, big tank. Everything else, he's gonna take pictures of the D-box and the drain field, which did not fail. They were fine, but that should come through on the Title V when everything's done.
Was it just leaking or did it have a
He said it actually was falling apart.
crumbling? Okay. Was
It
it
was
cement
crumbling.
before?
Yes, apparently it was.
Makes sense.
Okay. Then we go on to open repairs and/or inspections and plans and review. Oh, other permits to be signed, I forgot. I
That,
collected the money from Giacomo's on Saturday. I put it in an envelope. It's in the pickup box. I don't know if you've gotten it. So I would like to make a motion that we approve the retail food and frozen desserts and milk permit. It's a 3-part license for Giacomo's, if that's okay with you, Colleen, and you, Vin.
Okay.
What are the 3 permits again, Kathy? Food?
It's retail food,
Mhm.
it's frozen desserts,
Okay.
and milk permit.
Okay.
All right, thank you. And then that allows Mallory to send them the document.
yeah, so what we'll do is I'm just waiting for confirmation on taxes. And then we can
They
print
don't live in Worcester.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
they live in Worcester, they don't live in Hubbardston, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So they don't pay any property tax?
No, not here.
Okay.
They're
Awesome.
just renters.
Perfect. So then we'll be able to, I'll get that printed and I'll send it out via DocuSign
Sure.
to all 3 of you. And then we can
Okay,
get on its way.
thank you.
Perfect.
All right.
Do
Then
you
we
have any
go on.
personal property tax that they would own all the town? For equipment they may own?
Contents and equipment.
Yeah.
I can check with,
I mean,
I don't know.
that they would be
don't
sent
know
a
that.
bill and that would have to be signed off by the tax collector.
right. I'll check on it.
So then sometimes that's overlooked, that's all.
Oh yeah.
It's a good point. Thank you. Okay, so under open repairs and inspections, 75 Barry Road. The park was run by Richard Stevens. I witnessed it. It passed. The flow rate was 7 minutes per inch. It was awesome. We were in there and out of there in 30 minutes. It was a great test. And that was last week. Then 59 Brigham Road is Andrea and Tom Collier's place, which I did last Thursday. Again, it's the same installer, Rich Stevens, or designer, excuse me. And that perk passed in the 3rd hole, Doug. That paperwork is also in the same envelope with the Giacomo's check.
Yep.
And
I got the soil suitability for both of them in today from the from Rich as well.
yeah, he was going to send all that in. So I think they're all set to keep moving forward. Jeff Hackala is the digger, excavator, so he knows to contact me directly when for the bed bottom tests. So just so you know, Mallory, Jeff's going to call me directly on that.
Perfect.
All right, then the next one is 52 Birches Road, which I just did today. I do need some technical help to take the photos from the iPad back and be able to email them into the Board of Health stuff, and I need to start catching up on that.
Okay,
So,
we can do that.
At some point, we're gonna have to work with Ryan or just you and me, and
It's pretty
teach
easy.
you
We'll
how
be
to
able to. Yeah, we'll get you all set up.
hooked up to send those photos in and then label them.
No worries.
45 Williamsville Road. I signed off on the completion form last week after inspecting the whole thing. And at that time, Mark Popham, was the designer, and he was there. So I met Mark. Had never met him before. And we discussed getting the landfill lab work done twice. And now he is aware and is planning to call me so that we can get 2 tests done in the same year and then go to the state to have the test done maybe every 3 or 5 years. Not that we're going to ask them to stop completely, because they never allow that, but to decrease the frequency.
And we
and,
signed that contract too with him.
Yes. All right. I think that's all of the septic and issues going on right now that I'm aware of. Under open complaints, these are kind of from me. 111 Gardner Road, the trash has been building up further, and about 2 weeks ago, they put out old couches at the street and added to the problem. And because they're not on a back street like Mount Jefferson Road, where there's also a couple homes that are not so careful about picking up trash and leaving piles of it build up, because they're in such a visible spot and it just seems to be getting worse, I'm wondering what's happening to that family. They were very neat. They were very clean. They would, it's just a big change, and I'm wondering what's going on.
Yeah, I drove by today just to, because we weren't sure. I wanted to confirm the address before we sent a letter, and just to snag a few pictures so we can start a file too. So there definitely, it looks like a lot of clutter. I noticed some like rabbit pens and some other animal coops and stuff like that, but there's definitely,
Well, the one pickup truck is full of trash bags.
Yeah.
And it didn't used to be that way at
Right.
all. Last year, that property was not like that.
We're talking about the Red Barn. Is this the same we had earlier? Is this a different property?
Different.
All right. What proximity is this property?
So the car repair place on 68 going out of town on the left, about 2 pieces of property up past it on the left. It's a Cape
It's right
Cod
next to-
style house.
It's right next to Charlie Clark's house, Vinny.
Oh, okay. I
It's
know what you
right
mean.
before it going north.
Okay.
Yeah. Kathy, that property changed ownership in the past few years, I believe.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now.
The folks were fine. I don't know if something terrible happened to them or what. And I just feel like we should reach out and see how we can help them.
Could it be a rental situation or?
I don't know.
Don't know. And then the other one that Kate brought up probably 2 months ago is 85 Gardner Road. The fella is living in his RV. And I've gone by on cold days when we've had snow in the morning, and there is definitely smoke coming out of the smokestack of whatever potbelly wood stove he's installed or something. So we do need to reach out to that person and
Yeah, I reached out
see
to
what's going on.
the inspectors, the building inspectors as well, to see if there's anything that they can offer.
And what have they said?
I haven't gotten a response yet from them. So I'll follow up again with Roland tomorrow, but they've been working remote too, so everything has been kind of lagged.
It's all delayed, yeah.
They have a new RV there now.
Oh, a
There's a
second
new
one?
one.
Yep. It's in front of the, I don't know if they got rid of the other one or this is in front of it. I'm not sure, but it's a bigger RV. And right now it's, yesterday it wasn't covered. Today it's covered with a big tarp. So. I
Oh,
don't know.
wow. Okay. So people are definitely living there and they're not supposed to live in RVs.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't have a specific bylaw to that. Sometimes do. But I went through all of our bylaws and couldn't find a specific one that speaks right to motorhomes or manufactured.
Would it be under campgrounds versus
No, we don't
permanent,
have any
non-permanent?
zoning ordinances.
No
on
zoning
that.
for that? Okay.
So
The only thing that would be some type of a violation if they weren't registered vehicles. If they're registered vehicles, I'm not sure what
right.
they
And
would
if they're
qualify.
running a stove, I'm sure the stove isn't permitted.
Right.
So that would be
Well, when I've gone by, you can see the smoke from the other side of the vehicle, but it's hard to say whether it's an outdoor
wood burning.
stove or an indoor stove, I guess. I don't know.
I
But-
think that it's a gas, some type of a gas stove because of the diameter of the pipe. I don't think it's a wood stove,
That makes good sense.
but there is a lot of smoke generated from that because the fire department has been there several times over the winter because people thought it was on fire. There was so much smoke coming across 68. So they're aware of that.
I'll reach out to Chief Hazen and see what he has to say.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. All right. Any other comments on any of that? Moving on, the Mph and Nurses Report. Do we have anything from them?
I don't have anything to report. Our caseload since has been at 0, so we don't have any active cases right now. So it's been kind of quiet. We did get an email from Judy O'Donnell about the door knockers that she has. So they're just little hangers that go on the door and provide residents with pertinent information how to, you put them on at-risk doors. So like the hub house and all that, get them out to the managers, and it would just give people information on this is your symptoms, this is what you should do, these are people you should call if you need this type of assistance and all that good stuff. So we'll be getting some of those in the mail.
I was wondering if we should give some to the police department
That's a good
Okay.
idea.
and then also to the ambulance EMTs.
Sure, that's a
Because
great
they're
idea.
sometimes called for
Yeah.
those kinds of things, and it might be handy if they go out on a call, even if it's unrelated, if they see a need to have something there, they can distribute them.
That's a really good idea. Another thing too is that the chiefs have said they've seen an increase in mental health issues. So maybe having like a pamphlet like that where someone can just reach and grab and call would definitely help. And door hangers.
Okay. Under old business, food inspections. We have not done any as of yet because so many things are closed. And I'm gonna have to recuse myself from Giacomo's when we do them because I've been selling some of my eggs to them to resell. So since I don't want to get into any conflict of interest things, we'll have Bill and Kate take care of those, the inspection of that place.
Okay.
I did talk to the owner of Riata Ranch. I apologize. I can never remember his name.
John.
The other day, he was sitting in his truck at the post office and I was on the sidewalk 10 feet away. And he's not going to open anytime soon. He's just waiting for the state and he's going to follow all the guidelines. He's been thinking about using extra tables if the guidelines for 6 feet are going to continue to space things out and have seating every other table. And he is one of the fortunate ones that applied for a small business loan because normally he would be open now. And he did get it, so he is able to pay his half dozen or so regular employees he has every year.
Awesome.
So that was good news. Somebody got some help.
That's great. I sent out the Governor Baker gave some guidelines to farmers markets and farm stands. So I sent that out in an email tonight too. I don't know if you guys got it, but basically he's considering them essential and just following the guidelines of 10 people per 1,000 square foot, keeping the safe distance, all that good stuff. But that'll be good for our farm stands that can open up in the summer.
Right. Would you forward that to Riata Ranch? Because they'll need to follow that guideline.
Sure, I can do that. Are they,
Yeah,
yeah. Are they, they're not considered a farmer's market, are they? They're flea?
no, they're a flea market, but they do have they do have a couple farms bring in
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
And
right.
all that would give him a guideline that
Something
he
to
could
look at.
follow.
Sure,
Yeah,
I could definitely do that.
all right. Trash hauler regulations. Vin, do you have any comments for that today?
I'm sorry, I was just looking for that email that I sent to Mallory, and I'm not sure I can find it. I forgot to print it. Could you give me 1 second? Let me
Sure, no worries.
come up with that.
The trash hauler regs, we still have to hold our hearing on, but we can't hold that until,
That's where we're standing.
that's where we're standing with the trash ones. We're just waiting for life to kind of get back to normal so we can hold our hearing and get that.
Approved and then set. Okay, in regard, is that under financial? Whoops.
That was just old business.
Okay. And then I already spoke about the landfill testing. So that should work. Did you find what oh, there it is. It's printing.
Yep, just got it out.
Okay.
All right, so did everybody get a copy of it? Email? Were you able to?
What is it?
This is that policy proposal I made. It was on the new business update failed Title V protocol.
Oh, yeah. It's a big document. Is that like the 97 pages?
Oh, no. This was an email I sent to Mallory for distribution.
Yep, I sent it out this afternoon.
Oh, okay. I'm sure I got it. I don't have it though.
Okay,
All
well,
right, let me
I mean, not here. It's probably, I could actually, let me go to my email. I'm sure I got it.
so this subject came up after we've had 2 failed systems in the town center district, both in proximity to public water supplies.
Right.
That was the
I found it.
inspiration, if you will, for this idea. And I'm glad Mallory sent this agenda out because I forgot to do this until last night. So here's what I have. And if we can discuss it and use it as a work in progress, maybe we can develop it into something that will be suitable for the Board of Health to adopt. Give you a minute to look it over.
have it here if you want me to read it.
On number 3, rather than to develop a plan, I would like to say that whoever is coming to the meeting, present a plan, present a proposal, rather than develop a plan, so that we shorten that time frame a little bit.
Okay, well, let me just go back now that we're all on the same page and mention that the first 2 clauses under the proposed policy are directly from the Title V Mass General Law.
Oh, yes.
So that's just a reiteration of what they have to do. And number 3 is the one that we need to look at and modify if we'd like to. But my idea was that making it a prominent document and policy for anybody who does a septic system inspection to make us aware, and they should, but it's not necessarily always followed, that the Board of Health has to have notification within the first 30 days, and then put the burden on the owner or their representative. And it's a good idea to have them come up with the plan that they would like to follow, so that we have something that we can monitor and, as it says, an enforceable agreement to develop that, to make sure that things get done correctly. Now, there's a couple advantages for, obviously, not only having the people aware of what they need to do, but having them in front of us gives them the opportunity, and us the opportunity, to not only develop a dialogue of what we want, but to offer to them the options that they may not be aware of. The financing, the money, the different ways of doing things, so that everybody's on the same page, and it would eliminate any procrastination or any unknown factors that would cause a delay in fixing the problem, which is obviously the main reason we want to do it.
Yep, when they come, I would like to have them have a proposal prepared that we could then
That's fine. That's
develop the timetable of and everything.
okay.
So I do think that it would, if we don't say that, we're going to have an extra step that we
Well, I
may
think you're
not
right.
need.
If they come in with a proposal and say to us, this is what we propose, we can either say yes, no, or modify that. And we don't have to bring them back in another meeting to go over.
Yes, exactly.
That's fine. Yeah. Like I said, that was the number 3 is the one that's a work in progress. Those are just the thoughts I had. But I do think it's necessary that we put it into an agreement form so that it's a contract that they have to do it. Obviously, most situations that happen like that with municipalities always have some kind of wiggle room. So if they can't perform, then they can come back to us and we can talk about it again.
Right.
But I think this gives them the idea that, we're on top of what the community needs for safety and health standards, and we don't want to go 18, 20 months waiting for a system to be repaired. And I know they give you 24 months under the state law, but I think that sometimes is too long. And
I agree.
if it's a situation where they're near the public water systems, we may accelerate that period of time. And then if they need 2 years, well, then maybe we can extend it. But at least we'll have something that we know will have a light at the end of the tunnel. And number 4 is the one I had left completely just as a question in terms of consequences. I don't know what we want to do. How do you hold anybody to making sure that they do what they need to do?
Right. That one's tricky because the consequences if you don't report a failed Title V in the code is that the Board of Health can report you to DEP, who permits the inspectors. So the Board of Health in Hubbardston doesn't permit inspectors who go out and do these Title V inspections. Once you pass the course through the state, you keep up with your CEUs, They're the ones who regulate who's an inspector and who's not an inspector.
Yep.
Once you got that license, you can go to any town in Massachusetts and work.
Right.
So if they fail to comply, then it's our obligation to report them to the higher power and let that, or if they falsify a report or whatever, then it's our obligation to report them to Mass DEP, so they're not, or new EPAC, and let them know that they're not following these guidelines that they've sworn to do. I'm not sure how we punish a homeowner though. Or
Well,
even,
Yeah, I had no idea either. And,
yeah,
there are ways to do that. Obviously, under some of the statutes we have in town, you can be fined, and every day is a separate fine on the zoning and building codes, or, up to $300 a day. I'm not sure we want to do any of that, but, I think this is probably something we have to discuss. I think filing those notices with DEP is a major important step if somebody totally ignores it. And I think we've already had something like that. Didn't we have that situation on Streeter Road, where we didn't get notified for
Yes.
quite a while about the failed system,
Yes.
and then we got
That was
blamed?
before
because-
Mallory's time, yes.
okay, good.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
Streeter Road.
Streeter Road, yes. I do think, so for consequences, Mallory, you can put this in, we can think about it one more month or till the next meeting. Hopefully we have more input from Kate and Bill. But under consequences, one part is to the business that's performing the Title V, and the consequences at the state that we will notify DEP, if things are not sent to us and not dealt with in a timely manner. And then part two is like you said, then it's what do we do with the homeowners that maybe just don't have money or whatever to make repairs. We'll have to think on how to come
Yeah,
up with
I don't have an answer for that
proper
either.
phrasing, and maybe there's going to have to be a fine related to the fact that it is taking our clerk's business time as an employee to deal with this over and over and over again. So maybe there's something that,
Yeah, we have the criminal disposition bylaw, so that gives us the right to, there's fines already set. So we could use those fines. For
maybe
any-
you can, maybe email that to us and we can do a small something to entice them to follow through,
Right,
because it is a public health issue for sure,
yeah,
for themselves, their wells, and their neighbors' wells.
right.
Yeah, so that's one we don't want to let go. Like you said, Vin, I think we do need to somehow have something that will encourage them. I don't know, maybe we give them $100 if they get it done in 2 months. Maybe we give them money.
A little
Maybe we
positive
do the
reinforcement
opposite.
for everybody's mistakes.
You get
Maybe
$100 and you get $100.
No, maybe you get $100 if you got a system, you get it done within 2 months and get it fixed. Maybe you get a discount or something. Discount off of application fees or something.
Yeah, well,
And maybe we don't collect as much money, rather than punish, we reward good behavior.
Well, I mean, the permit fees are going to be paid by the installers. So not, the homeowner eats it eventually, but I think that if we start enforcing it stronger, and then, but we can also offer the Title V program that we have. It has $146,000 or $147,000 in it right now.
Yeah,
Then, I think a lot of time people see the failed Title V and they just get that lump in their throat and don't know where to go. So if they take that, if I ignore it, it goes away.
right.
Approach. So I mean, as long as we just start showing our
saying
authority.
we have a great opportunity for you to fix this.
It's phenomenal. If someone doesn't have the money up front, it really is a great opportunity. So
All right, well, we'll push, maybe we'll just have you push something forward in
yeah.
in that way. That can be part of that policy so that,
Vin, do you
I'll
know?
work on the wording in number 3.
okay,
And-
thanks.
I'll talk with Mallory about consequences and we'll come up with a solution
Yeah,
to that
there's-
as well.
Yeah, there's 2 parts.
But there was also part B of this discussion that I also sent to Mallory and that I forgot to put with the first.
And I just opened it. I apologize. I'm forwarding it to everyone
Okay.
now.
That's okay. It's just a follow-up as to how we want to implement it, I think. In terms of publishing it on the website and also making it available in hard copy in the office with a formal list of installers that we have available in town. And if people want to be on that list, I would recommend that they acknowledge the policy, sign and agree with the policy so that they can't say, I didn't know about this. And, just kind of tie the whole thing together so people have more awareness of what we want them to do and comply with, as opposed to just, I didn't know about that.
I would also like to have copies of this, whatever we come out with, sent to all the local realtors.
That's a good one too.
That is often a group of people that could really help us out
Mhm.
as they go through and talk to people about putting property and houses on for sale
Yep.
and make them aware. And then I think that might be real helpful.
Okay.
Something else that might be helpful to, kind of off topic, but along the same lines is in other communities I've worked for, we've given a packet to people who are new to town who have just purchased a house that has a septic system that might not know how to take care of your septic system. You see all those commercials online for, you throw this product in, it'll eat the bad bacteria and all that stuff. But really a septic system should be able to sustain itself. So maybe if we put together a packet of information for new homeowners in Hubbardston too, that might be save them some headache down the road.
And we don't have to reinvent the wheel on that because
No,
the
it's out
state-
there.
Yeah, the state has a good website or a good blurb on their website about that, which I have a link on that
Yeah.
second email for you. And if we just printed that out, that's exactly what you're talking about now.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. I just think it's a matter of being aware and getting cooperation.
Sure.
Consequences to the cooperation, you want to make sure everybody goes along with it. But I don't look at it as a big issue because there are so many other consequences, especially in real estate transactions, that people don't like to overlook Title V's. It's a very, very prominent situation in all of these transactions, not only with the buyers and the sellers, but also with the people that are financing it and obviously local boards of health. So people are aware of it, and it's simply a matter of getting compliance, I think.
Yes, and that brochure for new owners, that would be something if we could make copies and or just forward that email link to all the realtors as well. Again, if we put out publicity, if you will, that we're, paying more attention to this, then they will realize that we're watching things closer. And hopefully we won't have some of these things come up as often.
Right, that's a good idea.
So, yep, I don't think we're ready to take a vote on this.
No.
But we can work on this and move forward with all the various pieces that we've already talked about. I think that would be great.
Okay, I'll be working on that wording on number 3, and we'll come up with some ideas for 4 as well. Wonderful.
Thank you. That'd be awesome. I am starting to get more busy with farming, so some things I'm going back, trying to find my agenda again. There we go. So some of my extra time is going to diminish here soon. So thank you for working on that. Okay, we already talked about landfill testing, the Title V protocol, budget spreadsheet.
We haven't had any invoices come in. Everything's been paid. And I just went to the office this afternoon. And the first check I've gotten is from Guacmos, so I haven't done a turnover yet. So probably gonna go in Monday and hope we get some more so I can do a turnover.
What about the installer's permit and stuff like that? Those
Oh yeah,
fees?
I have his too. Chris's. I just have those two, and they were both waiting for me when I got in.
Okay.
So I had toddlers, so I wasn't going to be there for a long time this afternoon to do that.
I understand. I have 2 toddlers in my house right now.
It's a struggle.
It sure is.
Oh my goodness.
I'm glad you're younger than me and can do it.
I don't know how well I'm doing.
Basis. Huh? Mine's short term. Okay.
We just go
So-
back 1 minute to the Title V
Sure.
discussion, because one of the things I noticed in researching some of this issue was that the law states that condominiums have to perform a Title V septic system inspection every 3 years. And I was just curious if do we enforce that with the Title V inspections on condominiums? Anything over 4 units is mandated to do with Title V every 3 years.
Okay.
Condos.
Well, I can tell you that has not happened in Hubbardston.
I suspected as much.
Well, that's another one to add to the list, Vin, of
Yeah.
getting out to those places to say, you know,
This is one of these situations that people, who the hell would know that unless, you've got nothing else to do some evening and you want to sit around and read Title V regulations.
exactly.
It's as many of the condo deeds that we reviewed on the planning board, I never heard of anything like this come through. So chances are condo owners and committees don't know anything about it either, but it's still insisted it be done every 3 years. So maybe we need to accumulate a list of condominium
Right.
facilities in town and send them a notice.
I'll reach out to the Board of Assessors and ask them to get me anything that they have so that we can probably reach out to I'm assuming most of them probably have property management companies that would be in charge of that.
Well, keep in mind a couple things about this. We do not allow condominiums in Hubbardston. They're not allowed under zoning. However, we do have condominium associations. I think there were 3 in existence prior to zoning. And then by special permit, we allowed the 2 senior residential condominium associations.
Okay.
So you might, when you ask the assessors, they may come back and say, oh, we don't allow condominiums, we don't have any, but they are condominiums.
I'll just ask for any property that has 4 or more units then.
Mhm.
Hopefully they can do that.
That sounds like a good plan. Thank you for reading up on that, Vin.
Oh, I had
That's
a ball. It was one of the best things I did last night,
Update code is very intriguing.
Yeah. Better than some of the television programs lately.
That's for
Oh
sure.
my goodness. Yeah. Okay. We all set then with that?
That's fine, yep.
Okay. So, all the fees that we have been collecting under perk tests, kitchen licenses are in our main Board of Health revolving account. Somehow with the previous accountant, not the current one, the payment that of the landfill costs, the payment of the Maven nursing program stopped coming out of our budget and was coming out of the towns. Don't ask me how that happened. So where we're at is in emails with Ryan. Couple things I would like to do. Number one is for the remainder, for going forward, that we have a vote tonight to pay for landfill testing from our Board of Health revolving account, and also the Maven, which costs us about $1,000 a year.
Yeah.
$1,000 a year, the Maven program that provides us with nursing services come out of our Board of Health revolving account. And that is the first proposal that I'm making for tonight. Any concerns about that or discussion?
We have enough funds in the account to cover them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We are not giving any monies from the revolving account to the town at this point. Somewheres before Kelly, we were. Why it switched over when accountants was changed, I have no idea. And that whole policy disappeared of how we kept a certain amount to cover expenses in the Board of Health, and the rest was going back to the town's funds because it was excess, and the Board of Health is not supposed to have that much excess on hand. So my first proposal is that we vote on the landfill testing costs and the Maven fees to become from our revolving account. Do I get a second?
I'll second that.
And all in favor? Colleen,
Aye.
Ben,
Oh,
and
okay.
I vote yes. Okay, so we will put that into effect and notify both, Mallory, you'll have to notify Ryan and the accountant.
Absolutely. Another thing with Maven nursing too is that it's $1,000, which covers X amount of her hours. If we ever strike another, God forbid, a pandemic or anything like that again, there is a chance that it goes over, but we still have more than enough in the account to cover.
Right. So the second part of this is the fact that all the fees we're collecting is going into our revolving account. Nothing is going back to the town as it used to. In emails with Ryan, several committees keep 10% to cover unusual costs and things. I think with this pandemic that we're currently in, and the fact that we may have to run vaccine clinics whenever they come out with a vaccine, I would like to propose that we keep 20% of all fees collected, and that the other 80% can go back to the town's fund under general, to be spent under their general budget each year. I do think that we need more than 10% to cover additional costs that are going to be happening. We don't know what those are and how much money would come from the state, but I think there's going to be expenses we're going to have to cover, whether it's a donation to the school to let us use the school for doing the vaccinations, or other sites and things of that nature.
Do you have a dollar figure that goes along with that, Kathy, rather than a percentage? What are we talking about dollars?
So what happens right now is when anyone applies for, this account was created before our Board of Health did any inspections. So we always had, our Board of Health members were paid to do inspections. So we've always put all the permit fee into this account, paid out of it for the inspections. And then the remainder went back to the general fund. So now that we really don't have anyone that we're paying out of pocket, except for a few instances that may arise where we have Kathy, we have Bill, we have Kate, we might need to hire someone to do Kathy's inspections or Bill's inspections who don't have a conflict of interest. But that really is it, where we're not paying other people to do these inspections. We need to take a look at what we need versus what should be going into the general fund. And so I think it's hard to put a dollar amount on it because all of our permit fees are different amounts. So there's also a Mass General law that says boards of health are required to set permit fees by town ordinance. The amount of fee is determined by the Board of Health. All monies received by municipal government officer or department must be turned over upon receipt to the municipal treasury for the general fund. So we haven't been complying with that since the change of accountants. So we need to figure out how we want to become compliant. And
Well, I don't have a problem with the concept. What I'm getting at, however, is that if we have a downturn in collection of fees and, next year we collect $2,500, $500 isn't going to get us far if we have another situation where we have to administer clinics or rent buildings or whatever. In the context of what we're going through right now, I can foresee that permit revenue might come down. And I can also foresee that we might have to do some of these contingencies that we'll have to pay for. So does it, rather than having 20% of a figure we don't have any idea of, what would be a better way to say it is perhaps keeping X number of dollars, knowing how much it might cost us to do these clinics or rentals or whatever we may have, so we don't get caught short. That was my idea.
what happens if we got caught short and we don't take in all the number we say we keep? Or
Say again, please.
What happens if we have a downfall in permits and we don't generate that number that we say we are either keeping or giving back to the town? At least with a percentage, we're guaranteed we keep some and the town gets some and everyone's in.
I'm not saying we don't keep some. What I'm saying is we make sure we cover the expenses that we may anticipate. And rather than using a percentage of a figure we don't have any numbers on, we could go back, for instance, for the last 5 years and say we collect $3,000 a year. So we're going to hold back $1,000 for future considerations and give the rest of the town. And if it turns out next year at this time that we don't use those funds, we can make an adjustment and give more money back to the town. But I think in this particular time with the situation that Kathy's describing, we're talking about some very expensive contingencies that we may want to plan for, rather than coming up short without any money in our coffers for it. We may want to keep a little bit more just to hedge it.
One of the hedges that we have is that last year we passed the warrant that the immunization fund of $18,000 move over into our general revolving fund. So we have that $18,000. We are not spending that, but we can now have access to it up to $10,000 before we have to really do any big town approvals at one time. That is our cushion. And I hope that we can keep that for that future vaccine that we're probably all going to have to hold clinics for next year. Because I don't see if we're lucky, it's as soon as next year.
Also keep in mind that any clinics we have to hold that are state mandated will also probably be reimbursed.
Right, but in the meantime, we may have some expenses to do up front while we wait for reimbursement.
Right.
So I believe that our $18,000 that we're trying to hang on to and not spend on anything else is probably going to be enough, at least to cover nurses and other people that we might have to pay up front before we get reimbursed.
Well, that's exactly where I was going with this. As long as we have a reserve someplace of X
But-
number of dollars, we should be comfortable with. That's fine.
Right. So just based on where and your number of 3,000 is not too far off for the total number of fees collected per year on an average in the past. And to do a 20% of 3,000 is, $600? No, I'm not doing the math in
That's
my
right.
head correct.
$600.
Sorry. Anyways, if next year we only collect $2,000, if we hold back again 20%, at least we're always having a certain amount held back. We can change it from year to year, and that's something that a lot of the things we do should be annualized and reviewed every year, and this could be one of them. So I think that would still be okay for this year, whether we go on the calendar year or whether we go on the town meeting, July, new budget year. Either way, if we go today and say, we're going to keep 20% of whatever we collect as of this week till the end of the budget year, we would be fine. And then we should this should be one of the things we review again on an annual basis, along with our list of inspectors and several things now that we've been, a whole bunch of these policies we should have a list of and should be reviewed annually. Quick vote taken to make sure that we're not getting lost and behind on the things like 3-year inspection or septic checks on condominiums. I'm sure years ago, maybe it was done, but it got lost over time.
Okay.
And that's one of the things I'm working on too. I think I talked about it a little bit, is making like a policy and procedure things or manual. So if I ever left, someone could come in and one of the things I've had before is broken down by like months. So in December, you should send out your renewal letters and remind people that it's coming up. And, by January, everyone should have their applications in. And if not, then you send a second follow-up letter. And so that could be something I add to that list to make sure that it makes it to the agenda for every year.
Right. That would be a good thing to add.
Definitely.
So if we do this on an annual basis, and I do think we need to renew this on the budget year.
Yeah,
because it has
fiscal
to
year.
do with budget, the fiscal budget year. So between now and July 1st, I'd like to propose that we take 80% of the fees collected and give them to the town general fund as per Mass law, and that we keep 20% for expenses that the Board of Health may have. Do I get a second on that?
I'll second.
All right. Colleen, are you in favor then?
Yes.
Ben, you in
Yes.
favor?
I am.
And I vote yes as well. So we will enact that as of after today
Okay.
till July 1st. And then
Okay.
we'll have to revisit it again. And maybe by then we'll have a better idea of if it needs to be changed or anything.
Okay.
That way it's not something that goes forever and ever and ever. Because fiscal budgets are yearly, so this should be yearly too.
Perfect.
Okay. Mallory, do you have any MVP workshop info?
So I attended all 3 MVP workshops that took place last week, or 2 last week, one on Monday. And what that is a Massachusetts Vulnerability Preparedness Grant that Ryan is looking to go out for, working with MRPC and I can't remember the other organization off the top of my head, their acronym. So what we did is we took a look at some of the vulnerability spots in Hubbardston, what would happen if there was ever a big emergency. We looked at things like culverts and flooding, and our shelter for if we needed to do a cooling or heating shelter, or if there was ever another disaster like the ice storm that took place. So our meetings are basically just big brainstorming sessions between a bunch of different town departments and some professionals from the industry. And we looked at, like I said, flooding and infrastructure and different power grid backups and a cell tower and just a bunch of different things to kind of get an idea of where our vulnerability in Hubbardston is and how we can move forward if we were given the grant to make some improvements in these areas. So we finished all 3 meetings, and what's going to happen next is there's going to be a public hearing, like a listening session where the public can give their input based off of what the town employees said. And that's going to take place before the end of May. But we don't have a date yet. But it was just interesting to get everyone's different input on things like our shelter, and if we ever had a big disaster like the snowstorm or the ice storm, how we would recover from that. And there's a lot of gray area and places that we haven't touched on as a town that I think will make some real positive improvements with this grant money. So I'll keep you guys all, informed as we go on. Right now, it's just brainstorming and taking a look at where we can go. But I'll let you know when that listening session takes place. Oh, we just lost Vin.
Are you still there?
I'm still here.
Is Vin? Vin, are you there?
Vin disappeared.
No, he's gone.
Okay. Because I did want to, under unexpected subjects, I did want to ask him. He saw on the selectmen's meeting agenda yesterday that they were going to discuss electric poles. National Grid wanted to put some electric poles in someplace.
Back. Yep.
Okay. And you there?
Oh, Vin, can you hear us?
Come in, Rangoon. Come in, Rangoon.
We can hear you.
Oh, I can't see anybody.
You gotta turn your camera back on.
Say that again, please.
Bottom left to turn your camera back on.
Oh.
There you are.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
All right, so Mallory will keep us informed on the MVP general public input meeting that they're going to have at the end of May. And hopefully we'll get some monies for the town to fix more things in town based on getting one of these grants. Under unexpected subjects, Vin, did you participate in the selectmen's meeting last night regarding National Grid and the telephone poles and our electric issue at the recycling center?
Yes and no. I was not virtually present, but I spoke with Ryan in the afternoon after you and I spoke, and he felt it wouldn't make any sense to quiz the gentleman coming in from National Grid because he was not responsible for it. However, Ryan did say that he would ask the person from National Grid and make it an issue so that the Board of Selectmen would also be aware of it. And then,
good.
And then he and I discussed another possibility, which I just sent an email to you folks that I received from Ryan earlier. Trying to solve the problem, I suggested we just connect our recycling electrical system to the DPW electrical system, and they should have a fairly substantial history of electrical use. And every month that their bill deviates from previous history, they can bill us the difference and we'll get our electrical problem solved and send the DPW a check for the electrical use that we have. So he spoke with Travis, as it indicates in the email, and Travis is willing to do that, to dig the dish, to lay the conduit, and just bypass National Grid altogether. And as Ryan said, he's mystified at it as well. He doesn't understand why National Grid is such a impediment to this, but in spite of the fact that we have not only a meter, but we have some floodlights on that particular pole, because we don't have a deed to that said property, they won't do anything. So there's a solution that we have for it. And since we're already ready to go with the exception of the electrical hookup, it looks like we'll just, if we could get that gentleman that did the electrical wiring back in to hook it up to the DPW electrical box, we should be in business with it. And that was the best solution that we came up with. And Ryan, as I said, has gotten the agreement with Travis to do that. So that's where we are.
Okay, so Mallory, would you reach out to the electrician that we used last year to do some electrical work and send him and me an email? I'd like to see what his thoughts are.
Okay.
See if that's going to work pretty easily. If it is, then next time we should vote to do that. But
Yeah.
I'd like to get his opinion first, since he did all the repairs to the one pole anyways already.
Yeah, and typically when the electricians do that, that hookup is part of what they are contracted to do. So it shouldn't be a
Right,
big
so-
effort on his part.
Right, but I just want to confirm that he's more familiar with what he did and where the current electricity is in the DPW, and just his thoughts on that.
Sure.
And then we can move forward and get it done. I think that's a good solution, as long as it's not going to run us a lot more money.
Well,
So,
You know, it's
but we do
probably,
need it.
yeah, it's probably going to be a minor inconvenience for Travis. He's willing to put up with it. And I think it's very generous of him. And I thank him for offering to dig the hole and lay the conduit. And, you know, it seems like a very good community solution to a problem that is just
Yep,
not going to get solved with National Grid, I'm sure.
I think you're right, Vin. I
Yeah.
think this is a good idea. And let's follow up with the electrician we used last fall first, just to make sure we haven't missed anything.
Definitely.
Okay, any other new business that was unexpected that anybody's aware of? I know as I was coming in, people were talking about ticks. I'm seeing here a lot more deer ticks than any other kind this year.
Yeah, I've already pulled a couple off my kids.
And they're hard to spot because they're so small. So maybe we need to send out one of those town-wide blurbs with the link on for how to deal with the deer ticks in particular, since they seem to be the most prominent ones. I know there's emails coming out from the state and stuff about it. We could just put that into the news blast to the town, if that's okay.
That works.
Yep.
And that's
Works for
all
me.
I can think. That's all I can think of for today. Any other issues that anybody's aware of?
None from my end.
Nope.
All right,
I'll move we adjourn.
I do too. My room has gotten dark, as you can't hardly see me, I'm sure. I can turn the light on and then I can tell you what time my clock says it is. All right, so according to my clock, it is 7:50 p.m. and I'm make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All right, everyone's agreeable?
All in favor?
All in favor?
I'm in
Yes.
favor.
All right.